Hello, everybody. This is the MCA PRs for Season 3 of Bolt Strike, the best division, as we all know very well.
That's
And
why I demoted to it.
exactly. That's the voice of PZZ who's joining us today. I'm Jikar, as you well know, your favorite moderator. And with me as well is Blue Fusion
Is
321.
Blue Fusion. Hello
Perfect.
everyone, this is Blue Fusion. I don't know if my mic cut out, but if it did not, I guess you just heard me introduce myself for a second time.
So
So
nice we
anyways,
did it
let's get
twice.
into it. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, let's get into it. Let's have some pace this time. I think that's a good idea.
Nah.
Okay, sorry, apologies. Um, so yeah, let's start with team number 16, and as we said before, we'll make a note of it again that these are all just for fun, and they don't really matter for anything because we could be completely wrong. And maybe you're actually built different and you know exactly how to pilot your team. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, number 16. I think most of us decided it was Cow's team. I'm going to go with Cow. Do we think Cow? Cow?
I presume cow, as in,
Cow.
yeah. And I think all of us ranked it last. It was one of the few coaches where we all collectively agreed.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about why. So, as you pull up the team immediately, the main thing, obviously, Urshifu and Gaojin, they're great mons. Sinister's a really good mon. They're all kind of these like slightly bulky attackers. Urshifu's a little bit, you can run Scarf on that as well at times. The
Uh,
speed is the real issue for me,
mhm.
glaringly off the bat.
Yeah, one thing I think this team kind of struggles with, on top of speed, obviously, the speed tiers really aren't all that, right? You have the Hisuian Electrode, which people won't even probably care about creeping or anything like that, and then uh, uh, ignoring that, you really don't care about the Persian either, so your realistic top speed tier here is 110, which Zoroark is a fine mon, but it's not anything uh, too amazing. And then the concern I have, which this is provided that that this is arranged in the order that the team was kind of drafted in, is I feel like gouging fire nowadays is like a round two, like a kind of early round two, probably at the soonest, and then we follow that up with round two Corv, which is a very passive mon, which I don't think your round one super appreciates having.
Yeah, I think as
On
well that
Yeah.
Corv is probably overpriced a little bit on our board, potentially. Currently, it is really passive. I don't know
Mhm.
what are your thoughts, PZZ. What are you throwing down?
I think there's some interesting pieces here. Like I think honestly, I really like Terra Shifu and Gouging Fire both as individual mons. Obviously, there's no like top mon to really help round it out, but at least there's like an approach where that I can see working where like you click Reflect and Light Screen with Corviknight, you turn it into your big broken offensive pieces and start breaking holes. I also think Terra Sinistra is a very solid mon. Um, but I think there's a and his doing Zoroark is a interesting mon. I think it can work at least. Um, but there's a lot of mons on this team that I just really don't think are that great. Like non-Terra Hisui Trode is kind of inconsistent. Non-Terra Cragonal is just ass. Sorry to say, but I could get 6-0 by it, so who knows.
Mhm.
Um, A Persian is weird this gen. It just doesn't seem that great when like a lot of things can run Terra Fairy. Um, and then like Sylveon just had that um, low phys def is a pretty big issue for it in combination with its speed. So you can't like really, I don't know, it's just a mod that's also pretty inconsistent overall, especially since it has wish stacked recovery, which is
Yeah.
not great. I like Claude as a mon, but it's also forced to do a lot here, um, just because of like what types of things you're probably going to need to check. Um, but like, I think there are win paths for this team each week.
Hmm.
But there are definite it's just like it's a weird team because if it had like a top mod, like a random Terra Torn T thrown on instead of the Sinistra and Sylveon, then I'd say this is a great draft. But as is, I think it's okay, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's just because I was saying the bulky offense type style is good here. So I agree that there's paths to win each week, but you look at it and it just feels a bit weird, right? It's
Yeah.
it's hard for me
I
to
mean,
vocalize. As I've said before, I'm a vibes guy, and I just get
I think it just, I think it just looks kind of underwhelming, just as a whole.
yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
I think the draft can function, and there are definite routes for it to function, which is more than I can say for a certain draft in Freeze Shock that I saw that shall remain unnamed, that but may or may not have a serious drop off after the top three. But yeah,
Also,
I
weirdly
think
has
this draft is
Sylveon as well.
yo crazy.
Alright,
But yeah,
shall we move
I think
on?
this draft is okay. Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on.
Speaking of speed tiers, this is a major issue in this next team, which is Sean's team.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
Okay, this is
phenomenal segue,
interesting.
Blue, because the speed tiers are shocking, Sean.
I mean,
Sean,
realistically here, your fastest mon is Kiram. Because I don't think Zarude wants to run speed. It can run speed, but I'm pretty sure it sees the
It
most
can, but
success
yeah.
with that like spit F set,
yeah,
which is kind of scary here.
yeah.
So, clearly you're running Trick Room G King every week. What do you mean? These are
Yeah.
brilliant speed tiers if you run
see.
Trick Room G King every week.
That's true. So Sean has already won his first match, and he did
Mhm.
not bring Trick Room. I can't remember exactly what he brought, but I think
I
that
think he had
he kind of just
Scarf Kiram.
he had Scarf Duraludon, certainly.
That was strict, I thought.
No,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it got
Uh,
tricked something else. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm smoking, but regardless, it obviously there are paths to win with this team because it does have quite a lot of bulk.
Mm-hmm.
It does have priority in Mamoswine, and I think that was one of the things because he played Tylord, who struggled to in prep to come up with ideas to break the bulk. I think that it's certainly very doable because of the passivity, who knows, of
I think,
certain mons.
yeah. I think a big problem with the team, if you try to go bulk angle, is that the ground resist is kind of ground resist is Zarude, Terra Zarude, which, and since it's going to be terraing out of it often,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and then there's also Vikavolt, which I like the Mon, but this is kind of honestly I don't like Vikavolt on more bulky teams, or at least not as much because yeah you can pressure your opponent with like sticky webs, but like I don't know. I think especially since this team is already so slow that like
Mm-hmm.
a random bootsmon will if that you slap on for in case they bring Pickle, we'll be able to get around that just fine.
Yeah, you literally just need a base 100 with boots, and you're probably being chilling.
I agree.
Also,
I think. Oh,
okay, one other major issue I have with this team is Spin Blastoise as your single removal is just asking to get stacked and then spin blocks. Like, with this passive of a team, that's an angle that, like, you have to be very, very concerned about. Like, obviously you can boot spam, but boot spam opens you up to all sorts of other potential routes to break through the bulk. So you need to be very, very careful in prep with only having spin on toys.
Yeah.
I agree. One, it's not really an issue with the team per se. It's just, I think all of these mons are solid in a vacuum. It's just when you combine them all into a team like this, I don't think it really works out.
I think there's some good ideas with like G-King being a slow pivot into like strong breakers like Mamoswine and Prim
For
and
sure.
Prim. Like G-King, G-King definitely is like the thing that holds this team together, and I think it works well at that. And then obviously Terrazarud is Terrazarud. So I think there are angles for this team to work. Honestly, I think it's almost more exploitable than Cow, but the Mons themselves are better. So it's like it's weird because I did not vote on the rankings. I'm not sure if I would have ranked this above or below Cow, but like it's definitely weird.
Yeah. It kind of looks okay. Because, as you say, the Mons are all kind of good on their own. But, yeah, you slap them together and some big issues start to occur. Also, I'm pretty sure you just kind of get 6-0'd potentially by Spectro. Maybe not. I don't know.
You have a Zarude and like,
Terra Normal
yes,
Zarude, guys, trust.
Normal Zarude. That would be
so true.
outrageous.
I mean, Terra
I don't
Normal
know.
Facade.
There are to not hit the Spectro.
All I'm saying.
All right, big guy. Yeah, there are those. I think
there are ways around it, but like it is definitely difficult.
it's tricky, and I think just there's a couple of type chart weaknesses. You mentioned the ground type weakness, which is kind of crippling. I think having a bad ground type matchup, as I am discovering in the builder with my terrible ground type matchup, is very annoying.
Yeah. On paper, this team also has a pretty big rock weakness. However, I'd say it faced one of the best rock types in the game, week 1, and it managed to pull off a victory there. So we shall see.
I think respectfully to Tylord, because we did talk about it a little bit after the match, I think that he was tunnel visioned on more niche matchups. Like he was calcing like the Arcanine into max defense Terra Skeledirge as like a pseudo rock resist, and so he brought Terra Rock Choice Band Arcanine into the matchup, which then obviously let it get abused a little bit because it was choiced.
Yeah, and I think rock types. The thing is, I feel like most offensive rock types are kind of just like as offensive rock types, because there's just problems with that typing in general. So like I don't think having like a huge rock weakness makes rock moves a problem. Maybe stealth rocks are annoying.
Rocks, yeah, stealth rocks I think are probably the bigger issue. But Blastoise is a good spinner, so even if it is your only spinner, it's still, you know.
You can put on good offensive pressure. You have a lot of mons that can succeed in that.
Yeah.
One last thing I want to touch on regarding this team real quick before we move on is this team is pretty underwhelming in terms of hazards. There's no spikers on this unless the deck is missing anything, but I don't think that is the case. And then
No, none of that.
2 rockers isn't that bad, but I feel like Mamo wants to run choice items a lot, which, I mean, you can fit rocks on that set, but I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, they both can run rocks fine.
Hmm.
Yeah, you probably would want a bigger depth of hazards because
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
Gen 9, but it's not.
the nice thing is that you have Webb's Vikavolt,
Yeah.
which
Hmm.
does put a lot of pressure in prep, especially if it's a spin blocker that gets blocked by Dirge. Then you're like, okay, I'm going to click Webs and screw up all your prep, and what are you going to do about it, basically?
Yeah.
So there are ways I can see it working.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
For sure.
All right,
Let's move on then.
move on. Yeah.
Number 13, which looking at it now, maybe criminally low. I don't know. I
I
kind of
would.
like this team.
What?
The issue I have
It's
with it,
Corvax. It's Corvax, to be clear. It's
yeah.
Corvax's team.
Oh God.
The issue I have with it is I feel like we have Terra on the wrong mons.
I mean, I like Terra Leaves. Pincurchin is terrible. Pincurchin is like unbringably bad. The
Well,
only saving grace is obviously the terrain setting.
yeah, I think Ren had a team with Pincurchin last season, and I think he had Terra Boulder as well, which I think I'd like to see Terra Boulder on this team as opposed to Terra Leaves. I know the points don't, it's not the same amount of points to Terra Leaves as it is to Terra Boulder, but I mean, you have Pincurchin, you have Leaves, you have Jugulus, you have Iron Boulder. It's pretty clear that this team wants to focus a bit on the electric terrain, so I feel like if that's the case, it might as well want to just full send it at that point.
Yeah. I don't love Terra Landorus.
Mm-hmm. Also, round 2 Cyclizar is just super out of place here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that Boulder probably should be Terra. It is a lot better with Terra. I still I don't know. I still think that Pokemon is quite inconsistent. But maybe I'm just a hater.
I kind of agree, but I also think it's probably better than Terra Leaves.
Yeah, probably. This is probably true. Especially because, as I was saying, Terra Landorus, I don't know how you feel, PZZ, but I think that Terra Landorus is kind of a waste of a Terra because most of the time
It's
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 doing...
too slow,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
and it doesn't need it.
it's
Yeah,
forcing the
most...
scarf like 9 times out of 10.
Well,
Or if you are using like a Life Orb
if you're
set,
using a
then...
breaker, yeah, you don't
It,
need Terra. Like
no.
it's just strictly unnecessary. Um, I think like high key, if this team had like Terra Boulder and Terra Moltres over those two Terras, then I
Mhm.
think I'd actually like this a lot.
Hmm.
But as is, round 2 Cyclizar is kind of sketchy. Empoleon is a steel type that I am still not sure how I feel about. It just like feels pretty underwhelming a lot of the time in practice, but it can work. It's functional, but underwhelming. Jug is a cool mon. I like Moltres a lot as a mon. Um, Swampert's like fine
Yeah.
here. I kind of get why it's here, but on the other hand, I don't know. It feels like you just chose a mon that's good and a slow pivot.
I guess it's kind of like maybe a counterpart to Moltres, but it feels a little bit weird next to Empoleon, personally.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is like you're tearing your Orlando Eye, so you want a secondary ground type or whatever. But yeah, it's like fine. But you already have good rockers. But I mean, bringing up move slots on other mods is always cool. So
Yeah.
I get it.
One huge change we see from the last two teams is the speed tiers on this team are actually pretty strong.
Yeah.
I think this is, yeah, I think the speed overall is quite good on this team. I will give this team that.
It's a little scary, under 90, but you know it's not like a big deal really because
That's just a
it's
number,
kind of
honestly.
trivial, isn't it? Yeah. When you get the 100 plus range covered, you're probably doing pretty all right. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I think the reason why I have this team so low in particular is because it functions around a mon that sucks, effectively. Pinkerton is... It's Pinkerton.
Yeah.
It
It's been
kind of
correction,
speaks for
yeah.
itself, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's that bad of a team.
No, I agree. I think PZZ raises a good point that you change the Terra captains and all of a sudden it looks even better. And I think it's a fairly like it's a functional team as is. It it can work, but Terra captain changes. I mean, even if you just took the Terras off of Leaves and Lando and got them on Boulder, I don't know exactly how the points would work out, but I think even that would be better personally. Yeah, it's a fine team.
Yeah, it's a fine team. I think again, like it has a bit of an issue of like not having a strong number one because I don't because like Terrorless Sneasler is like fine, but I feel like you want a slightly better number one pick, and like not having like Terra on Boulder either means that like it just feels like your ceiling is kind of low at times, but again, there's a lot of mons on here that I think can function decently well together, so I don't think it's like a horrible team
Yeah,
by any
yeah,
means.
yeah, definitely.
Oh,
Okay, well let's move on to the first of Big Eight. It's Aidan with an A. Who probably I think maybe I underrated this when I was voting because in hindsight it's actually not a bad team. I was probably just hating on it because it has like one special attacker, but when you've got Ursaluna and Terra Ogapon, who are phenomenal breakers, it probably doesn't matter that much.
I think I agree. I think... I mean, I think the speed tiers on this team are pretty good. It has one of the best Terra captains on the game, and Terra Wellspring. I think it is a... Dare I say... Because I don't want to say passive, but I feel like having a Skarmory and Mandibuzz might be a little redundant, even though they can do separate things, technically. I don't have tons to say about this team particularly.
I'm not going to go like I mean I'm playing this team this week, so that's gonna be a thing. But I I think Terra Wellspring is a solid mon. Cinderace, good speed mon. And then Terra Ursaluna, honestly, I like Terra Ursaluna a lot. There's a lot of cool things I think you can do with it, and then just those top three plus Latios is good offensive pressure. I think Skarmandy, Clefable, maybe the Mandy's a bit unnecessary, but like I get why you want some sort of removal outside of court change. But I think it's like fine. Let's see. Rockers being Skarm and Clef is kind of fine. They're both like tauntable, but like they have ways around it. I mean, and then you also with the offensive group of four, you have Healing Wish Shaman potential, which is huge in my opinion. I think that helps a lot. I think there's a lot of solid elements to this team. I think there are some weaknesses that might come out when it starts when it's in practice. but I, I mean, we'll need to see it in action. But I think
Yeah.
there are like some slightly weird elements, but I think it's like fine.
Yeah. I think, yeah. There's not much to say. I think that's probably hit the nail on the head, is that it looks on paper like it could be completely fine, but there's just a few issues that pop out that maybe in practice are going to cause more of a headache. But we'll have to see.
I think I agree. I think it's a team that needs to. We kind of need to see it in action for us to really judge it. So
Yeah.
we should. Let's move on.
Let's move on. The one thing I will say is that the ice and rock matchups are pretty bad. Skarm and Clef are obviously really bulky as neutrals.
Terra Wellspring has nice resists, to be fair.
That's true. Forgot about Terra Wellspring. Okay, it's probably fine. Fine.
And then Skarm covers the physical rock types just fine. So like, I don't know. Typing based weaknesses are kind of hard to gauge. So
yeah, Gen 9 is a little bit weird, and I think focusing too much on the type chart in general was not a good idea anyway. But
yeah,
something to consider potentially in the builder. Anyway.
And having Swallow as your grounded poison is like kind of underwhelming, but you have ways around T-Spikes, including Court Change and Defog Mandy, and most of your team is not really that affected by T-Spikes, it's just a Wellspring.
Yeah.
And maybe there's Luna and maybe the non-big Cinderace, but like, eh.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
personally probably doesn't care most of the time. Cinderace runs boots a lot, but if it doesn't, then it probably cares.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you say, we'll see. We'll see how it works in practice. I think is going to be the real test of this team. As with every team, probably. Anyway, shall we move on to Ren Ellen's team? Ren Ellen, who I kind of really like this team for a lot of the team. A big part of the team, you look down it and I think that's a good Pokemon. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, what? I don't understand Terra Abomasnow.
That throws me off so much when I'm trying to assess this team.
Yeah.
It just sticks out like a very sore thumb.
Interesting.
I mean, especially when you got Ceruledge.
I was gonna say a team with Tornti and Ceruledge as Terra captains could be pretty shiced.
It's kind of a tough sell to have Terra Abomasnow there, right?
Earth's dominance.
This is true. If you're doing the mental damage, then Terra Abomasnow is maybe where it's at.
Like, I think Abomasnow in itself is a really good mon. I'm not sure if it being Terra when you have Tornti as your other Terra option is quite the best move, but I mean, there are definitely scenarios in which Terra Abomasnow will just absolutely fuck you up. So, like, yeah.
Yeah, this is true. I think as a Pokemon, it's fine. It just upsets me to see that Ceruledge could be Terra in that. Maybe I'm a Ceruledge cell, and I don't see the true value of the Terra Abomasnow. I don't know.
I think one thing I like about this team is we have a very strong special breaker paired with Tornti. I think that opens up a lot of end games with Nasty Plot Tornti after Ursaluna's kind of tipped a whole bunch of things and kind of broken down those initial checks to Nasty Plot Tornti and whatnot. I think Tamrot is amazing, perfect. It's probably the best spiker in the game. Super oppressive mon. And the rest of the squad's pretty alright, aside from the Terra Bombers. No, I think Klawitzer as a late round pick is kind of weird. I don't think having two waters is a bad thing, but I don't know what purpose this mon in particular serves on this team.
Yeah, I think that goes for the whole back three. I guess Wigglytuff is a normal type. One of the issues with this team actually is the hazard game is incredibly weak because,
Not.
frankly, I don't think Donphan loves running rocks a lot of the time. It's very tauntable.
I agree with that. For sure.
And
Donphan feels
Wigglytuff,
like it's forced to do a lot.
yeah.
And Wigglytuff does not alleviate that. The one consolation prize for Donphan is that you have a Hisuian Samurai who's going to click Ceaseless Edge 5 million times and buff up all the hazards.
This is true.
So that's at least nice. But I don't know. There's like there are individual mods that I like. I feel like this might just be a me thing, but I feel like round 2 Ursulina Blood Moon feels a bit sketchy, especially when it's like, honestly, it's like your most consistent secondary offensive piece after Torn, and then kind of, I don't know. I feel like
it does fall off a
Sarah
little
Ledge
bit,
and
I think.
Sarah Ledge and Samu, and Terraless Sarah Ledge and then Samu are like good mons, but like they're like I feel like as a number 2, Ursulina Blood Moon feels kind of like it has to do a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that the offensive pressure of this team is maybe a little weak because Sarah-Ledge, as you say, is fine. Samurot's fine. I don't think they have incredible, like, threatening nature because of the speed tier. Is I think the speed tiers are deceptively not amazing on this team. Even though you've got Torn and Matthias, I don't know. It feels a little bit scary.
I'd say
Relying on
that's
that
a fair statement. I think I agree with that.
But
Yeah, like if you could, I think Torn. The thing is, Torn can't both run like a breaker set, an AV set to pivot, and nasty plot. So you're going to have to choose one of those each week, and whichever one you don't choose will potentially open yourself up to ways to beat this team. But there's honestly a good amount of cheese potential that I see with this team, especially, honestly, I think that Abomasnow can, if you don't prep for it, and you just click U-turn, and then you're like, oh shit, weakness policy just procs. Guess I'm sacking 2 mons. That can really open up a lot of game plans. So there are definitely ways I can see this team working. It's just like the back end, and like you have a Wigglytuff for Dragapult, but you already have like a Pheasantipede and an Ursulina Blood Moon, so like I don't really get the Wigglytuff here. I understand why you drafted it, but like
contextually, it's like a little
unnecessary.
Yeah, I think that personally that goes for the whole back three. Magnezone, I think Magnezone is good as a standalone Pokemon. Well, relatively. But I don't know really what it adds here. I guess it is just a steal. But
yeah, and Magnezone as your steal is kind of
yeah.
like, I don't know. Your fairy resists are Pheasantipede and Magnezone, which kind of feels that puts a lot of pressure on Fed. Well, okay, actually Ledge, but like I don't like any of them as like your fairy resistance this mon, have fun type of mons, like especially like Ledge as an offensive piece, and Magnezone I think of as more of an offensive piece, and then Pheasantipede is exploitable. So Good mon, but exploitable.
Yeah. But
Shall
definitely
we move
paths
on?
to win there, and yeah, we should move on. We shall move on, Blue Thrusian 3-2-1 to
Uh,
Tie Lords,
perhaps.
and for
Okay.
clarity's sake, Tie Lord, this is not what is on Tie Lord's current team, but we ranked it. I think all of us ranked it before he changed his team.
For a split second, I got super scared because I thought this was my team on the dock, but no, we just had very similar, well, fairly similar teams this season.
Yeah, I mean Tusk and Moon together. I think I don't know if it's a
Well,
full-on
it's Tusk
classic,
Moon and
but
the Terra Thundi T, or what
yeah,
we share, but
yeah. But yeah, so
um,
initially this actual team here, I placed it where it is because it feels. I made the point of Tylord seems like the goat of drafting a weather team without a setter, because last season he got bullied out of the setters because
Oh
of
god,
the stupid Ditto
I remember
clause.
that.
Although to be fair, he did leave the setter to like round 5, so maybe I don't know. But regardless of that, that was last season, and here I think this team is just really odd. Manaphy in particular is very odd, and like,
yeah, I think the first two on this team were obviously super strong together. I think Scissor round three's a little weird, and then we follow that up with Manaphy, which I think in a dex where there's a lot of water types with fairly good utility, I don't think Manaphy really sticks out as a water type really. So I don't really care for it on this team, but I think it's just kind of there. I
yeah,
like the two Terra captains on this team, the Terra Thundi T and Terra Arcanine, I think are pretty cool. And then the rest of the team is just kind of whatever.
yeah. I think with this team in particular, I know. So full disclosure, he changed his team, so his new team has Terratusk. It has Walking Wake over Manaphy. It has Venusaur over Arcanine. And it has Torkoal over Grafai. And I think that's all the changes. It has a Kamala. I don't know what it's replacing. But I think that Tusk not being Terra is a hard sell for
Mm-hmm.
me. And I think that, in particular, maybe it's just definitely a better Terra Pokemon than either Thundurus or Arcanine. And I think it's quite expensive for what it is without Terra.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I think
Personalmente.
there's I think there's some interesting things. Just I'm going off of this team and not
Yeah.
the changes to the team after. I think like the top 6 feels like a very hyper offensive draft that would like really like a good screen setter, and it doesn't really have that. Like I don't think Hat is that great of a screen setter personally because it's just so slow
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't have the best bulk.
Yeah.
I think that and like Graphii is like kind of cool mon, kind of interesting mon, but like it's not like I don't know. Brinkstar Encore is like a cool tool, but that's pretty much it. Um, I don't know. Like this team is like okay as is because I think aside from the Manaphy, I like the top 6 to get how the top 6 works together a lot. Um, but actually, I guess Manaphy can run screens, but that's uh, you're running screens on your
You're on
Manaphy.
screens on.
Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like again, this is a team that I can see win paths for. There are definitely ways that can get like if you don't lose to the very blatantly obvious game plan, then it can kind of start to fall apart, especially since like it doesn't have much in the way of like longevity. So it's like it's this mode go 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 go,
Yeah.
which can work in Gen 9. This is like unga bunga offense, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And I would like to just give a quick mention to his updated team, which I think is a good Sun team. It's got Terra Venusaur, which I think is really good on Sun. Torkoal. Everybody says Torkoal is worse than Ninetales. That seems to be a prevailing sentiment because Healing Wish is a broken move, especially on an archetype like Sun, which just wants to
me,
throw shit at the wall. You are everybody. You are all the opinions, PCT. But sometimes I think that it's nice to have Stealth Rock. Sue me.
Must
I think
get rocks up.
I think that that's kind of his only rocker on the team is Torkoal. And maybe that's not a huge issue, but I think that it's... I just think that maybe Torkoal is slightly... It's fine here. It's good here, even.
Alright, I think we kind of rambled a bit there, so let's move on to Charlie's team, I think.
Never ramble. How dare you accuse me of that? Yes, Charlie's team.
So this team is pretty funny because the round 1 and the round 2 are swapped here. And I think my opinion, and I know Jakar shares that opinion.
Yeah, I mean, round 1 treads. Yeah, into still getting enamorous round 2 is pretty funny to me.
And then we follow that up with round 3 Iron Bundle, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
After that, it just looks like we went for roll compression, I think. But I really like the top 3 on this team, in particular.
I like the top 4. I think Uxie is like broken, man. It's an untraditionally broken Pokemon, not in that it actually takes control of games, but it makes the team builder, in my opinion, way nicer to look at. Because it
I agree. I just don't really like passive mons.
I mean, the thing about UC is that you've got like so many tools to support your team, whether it be Encore or slow pivoting or screens. Like, I think I don't know if calling UC like explicitly passive mon is the best way of going about it. Like, obviously it's not clicking moves for much damage itself, but it can definitely put a good amount of pressure. I think I top 2 standard, top 2 solid, pays the bills. Round 3 bundle is like kind of weird, especially since I think bundle's a good mon, but it definitely has flaws. There are some people who like think it's broken, but like I think it's, if you have like the right support around it, like this team, if you just throw a G-King on it over UC, or well, then your ground resist sucks. But like aside from that, then G-King covers like the special bulk problem of treads and bundle, and then enables bundle in all these different ways. So like I think bundle like works really well with some specific partners, and when it doesn't have them, it kind of loses a bit of its luster. UC is like a fine enabler for the offense, as is treads. Like a lot of this team is like a bunch of just solid mons that pay the bills, nothing more. I mean, I think Terra Snorlax is kind of weird. I don't know if I necessarily like that as much as like a potential Terra Bellybolt. I like Terra Bellybolt a lot. Won a seasonal when drafting it round 1, so you hear it first. New meta.
Round 1's crazy.
Yeah, then I got round 2 Meowscarada and round 3 Greninja, Terra Greninja, and round 4.
That would do it.
But my pool was
Bellybot's the
but
goat, though.
Bellybolt carried. Bellybolt did cook. So
Yeah, it is really
it's like it's a good mon. I like Belly Bolt a lot. Being one of the few mons in the tier with Toxic that's actually like a really good user of Toxic. That's not a poison type. Is like a really interesting niche, and it has just as a fat electric with static that has recovery and Toxic. It's like cool,
yeah.
good slow pivot. It enables a lot of things. But yeah, I like all the mods on here are like solid enough. I can respect this team and what it's going to go for. It's just like, can Enam really like push this team over the top? I think it's like if you get the right Enam set each week, then this team looks really good around it. If
Yeah.
not, then it could potentially start to fall apart.
Yeah, I think you're right. It does kind of live and die by that because Bundle is not. I don't like Bundle really as a breaker. It feels to me a lot more like offensive support. We touched on it briefly in the Freeze Shock video.
Mm-hmm.
It's I mean it's obviously very strong. It has to hit hydro pumps, which is horrifying. But I think it does feel a little bit scary. This team in terms of what actually takes it over the line. It does have Crook, so Crook could be like a scarf set. Azu can be a belly drum set. There's definitely options. So I think it's still a good team.
A team like this, a guy like me runs Choice Specs Terra Fairy Enam
Yeah.
all 8
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah. A guy like you would run that. So
I would.
Charlie, you can take that advice with however much salt you deem necessary.
Specs Terrafairy Enam to break and Scarf Bundle to revenge. Who says no?
Yeah, exactly. Should we move on to
I agree.
to Heine, presumably
Yeah.
Heine,
I mean,
which
This team I like a lot.
oh, interesting. This
I
has
think
a really okay. I like the top four a lot, and I think Fortress is okay.
yeah.
I think Fortress is
I
dog
have
shit.
opinions on the rest of the team. Fortress is like one of the few mods that can actually check Meowscarada, so I'm like, you know, good. It's a decent mod just on that alone.
Just on that, yeah.
Yeah, it checks Meowscarada and checks Excalibur. It checks like, it's not anything special and it's exploitable as fuck, but like, it's a fortress. It can do things, ish.
It has Vault Switch. This came up in Free Shock as well. Everybody hates on Fortress like it's going out of fashion. It has a Vault Switch. Maybe I'm bad, yes, but you slap a helmet on that bad boy, go to town. Just put it in, Vault Switch out. Hope the enemy team doesn't have a ground type. Fingers crossed.
Us draft players do love our pivot moves.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
I'm a baby brain. I need them.
But yeah, on to, I think we all agree, the top 4 goes absolutely nuts here. After that, it does kind of fall off a little bit, but I think having a physical sweeper with Terra and then a special breaker with Terra paired with Iron Valiant in the back, I think this opens up the team for hyper offensive type builds.
Yeah.
I get Serena, and then I'm like, why are you putting a Serena on your like very very potent HO team? Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a mod that can function, but it's like,
Do you think that Serena and
slightly flawed.
Fortress are like kind of not suited for like fast offensive teams.
I mean, it's like a
Fortress
slow
can
pivot, I
work,
guess.
Fortress, you can like lead and then barf up a bunch of hazards and then
Does
cust
have
up explosion, I guess, or something
have
like that.
sturdy, yeah.
Something crazy.
Hmm.
Heat
Yeah.
Tome is an underwhelming mon, but it gets screens and enables Terror Mints to potentially go to town. If you bring the right Mints set, it can just own so many matchups. I think Terror Mints is like there's a lot of crazy shenanigans that I've seen certain people get up to with Terror Mints. That I respect that mon a lot.
Mm.
Um, like I'm going to um, I'm going to say Inteleon is a Pokemon that I think is like, I mean, it can click screens and it's like got good power on its water stab, and that's pretty much it. But it does what it does. Monkey Dory is a Pokemon that exists. That's all I'm going to say about Monkey
It
Dory.
certainly is above 100
Yeah.
speed.
And Vigoroth is the goat, though. Vigoroth is the goat. So
I've been tempted
Yeah.
many times by Vigoroth.
I mean, I kind of like Inteleon here in
Land, that's good.
particular, just because if it's a matchup where you're like a specific Iron Valiant set, where you want to keep it in the back to clean later. You have that option of a fast revenge killer in Inteleon, which I think is kind of nice here.
Yeah, I think it
But-
works as like a shit iron bundle here.
Yeah, that's a fair way to phrase it.
That in my head, that's what it does here. And in that sense, it's fine. But it's also Inteleon. So, you know. But it's a good team. I do like the team.
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement. It's a pretty scary
I think
team.
it's a solid team. I think the ending could be better, but as is, it's still gonna have a lot of prep headaches.
Yeah.
Tinglu is like, I mean, it's fucking Tinglu. It's going
Yeah.
to be
It's
a hazard,
so
and there's
broken.
nothing you're going to do about it. I think it's just like, it's kind of weird because this team also kind of has fairy resists that aren't really great fairy resists outside of like the Terramons. Like if you run like Terra Poison Salamence or whatever, yeah, sure, that's a good fairy resist. But like aside from that, I don't think Keaton quite functions, Fortress quite functions, and the unspeakable Pokemon does.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough. It is a little bit tough. There's definitely optimizations to be made on the back end. But it's alright. It's not bad.
It's solid. It's like a team that I can see going very far in the season.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay, should we move on then to Big Ben Ding Dong, who has Terra Lilligant, what I think is good, and has actually kind of not great speed tiers.
No sun support for the Lilligant though.
Yeah.
You have
Has
no support
Salazzle.
instead.
Has Salazzle.
That's true. Does Regieleki get Sunny Day? That's my question. If it gets Heat Rock, if it can Heat Rock Sunny Day, Regieleki might save this team.
Let's have a look. Whilst I look that up, why don't you tell us exactly why you think that?
Nope, it doesn't.
It doesn't? Oh.
Alright, moving this team down to number 16, sorry. I don't like the rules.
Yeah. I think I liked this team when I was voting just because it has a lot of good guys, but also it kind of doesn't fit together amazingly well, and I think the speed tiers are actually kind of bad. Salazzle's okay.
I'm like, if the Gliscor was Terra,
Uh-huh.
and you had a different mon over Molt, I think this team would be really, really scary just because you have to deal with Aurora Veil into a setup Terra Gliscor that will just absolutely maul you if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Well, there's also, the very clear spike sack angle. So it's like,
Yeah.
I kind of wish the Gliscor was Terra here, and there was like if if there's a world where you could like drop Molten Ninetales for regular Ninetales and get Terra on Gliscor and then get another Screens guy, like I would actually like this team a lot. As is, there's definitely ways I can see it working. Bax is kind of a broken mon with this level of support. Golden Go is a solid mon. I don't know if it's a great round one per se, especially without Terra.
Yeah.
But like, it's like so it's kind of an underwhelming like top one, and then number two is like Bax is like a mon that like kind of feels like a great number three, pretty mid number two. So like top two, the like synergy within the mons is there. I think it can function well, especially if like, I mean, if Terra Lilligant hits everything, then you're fucked. So there's always that.
That is true.
I think there are definitely angles for this. There's definitely angles for it to get exploited, but I think if you prep smartly, there are definitely ways that you can like catch your opponent off guard and really cook them. So
Sure.
I like it.
And
This
Ben
team
has
is
5 points
weird.
left, by the way, as well. So he has 5 points, so he could very well get something that is good over like a Moltres or, you know.
Like if there wasn't species clause, which I assume exists, then honestly double Ninetales would be great here. Like unironically.
It would kind of be good.
Big Vulpix will carry.
So I think I ranked this team the lowest out of just out of everybody who ranked them.
I did rank them.
I mean, I think the game plan with this team is pretty straightforward. You set your Veil and try to win with your setup sweeper. I think Terra Moltres is pretty interesting, especially under screens. And this could just be recency bias because they did have to play one semi-recently. And I think if you let this thing set up on you for free, you kind of just lose.
Yeah.
So I think that mon, especially under Veil, is pretty interesting. And then obviously you've got Quebec's Caliber, which is very scary just on its own.
Yeah, I mean, you're a Baxcalibur connoisseur. You put in a generational Baxcalibur performance.
I did. I think it went 18 and 6.
It's only 18 and 6. Okay. For some reason in my head it was like crazy. It's probably because it was the only Pokemon on your team that season, but
I did have Torn, but let's not talk about that team.
Terratorn that had like 3 kills all season.
No, I think it had 9.
Yeah, but regardless, yeah, this is a team that can certainly, it has the very obvious path to win, right? So if you have a good matchup into that, you're probably not really worried about it. But it's things to consider.
One last thing to bring up. Only hazard setter is Gliscor, aside from Castle. So that really does narrow the scope of this team a bit. Like, you can't run, like, I don't know, have spikes up and then have SD Gliscor cook under Veil unless you're running, like, SD spikes Gliscor, in which case you're not running Protect or something.
Yeah.
So, it's like, probably needs a bit of an overhaul. Like, I think I'd honestly drop the Alecki and upgrade and get something off the board that can also assist in that department. But yeah,
See,
solid team.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a huge issue, just because there's, I'd say, 3 to 4 super offensive mons here, to where I think the Gliscor is fine just being kind of a hazard bot.
I think having Gliscor as your only hazard bot
It's-
when it can't Terra is kind of whack, because like you can pack ice coverage on a bunch of your team and then you're like, okay, who needs removal now?
Yeah.
I agree, but I think Gliscor can just kind of live shit.
It'll
It
get some
can, but
randomly.
it can, but I think why,
you commit
like,
to
why
it,
would
it
why
will.
would you want to? Is my question.
Yeah.
Is
That's
It's like
fair. Hmm.
it's like it's a thing that could come up as being a bit sketchy in practice.
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
There are ways that in practice this team can absolutely demolish people, though. So
Yeah. Exactly.
Mhm.
we'll see.
Let's move
All
on
right,
then
let's move on to the team. Well, there's
Jake
so we covered
W.
this already, where it's Ice Hydra without sand. But what makes this even funnier is you have Drill paired with Rilla.
That's
It's
fine.
it's like
It's
it's
not an issue.
annoying, but yeah,
I mean,
it's
you're not clicking Earthquake though. Is
you
the
have
thing.
you have
Drill gets
high
horsepower if you
horsepower,
really need
yeah.
it. If you really
I
need it, and honestly, the in practice, the terrain you can position around it pretty easily. Like I don't think getting Riddler with Lando T, for example, is like a huge. Oh no, my Lando can't click Earthquake now. I think it's usually fine.
Yeah, I think
But
Well, I think
that's a whole
lot
other
of the
topic.
time. Yeah. Yeah. I
I mean,
think
I
this
think that's
team
slightly
is
different, but
yeah, but on the point of this team, I think that it's got a lot of very strong pieces. I don't know. I really like this team. I think that Azelf is a really good Pokemon. I think Drill is just a little bit weird
Ooh.
here in general. Because it's your Steel and your Ground type and your Spin, and if you're not running rocks on your Terra Azelf, then it's also your only other hazard guy. So it's, especially when you've got Weavile, which is such a strong knockoff user, kind of annoying. But overall, I
A lot of
think
these
this
are
team's got.
nitpicks
Yeah,
because
exactly.
the top three is insane.
The top
for a
three,
16
the top three. To be clear, the top three is fucking broken. Those are, as you say, nitpicks, but because
Yeah.
I'm a hater.
And then Florges is a mon that has issues. There are definitely ways it can work. I mean, it has. I think honestly, getting Trick this gen saved it from being absolutely horrible. And like there's some interesting stuff you can do with Trick Florges.
Yeah.
And then like you have Ilmise for like Prankster Encore and slow pivoting, which is actually pretty cool. They're like, I'm not sure what exactly Arcanine does here. It's like okay, it's just a
it's a
mon that
4th
is
priority
there.
user. Well, 5th priority
So
user.
true. Panda D speed will carry.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a fire type. Was the thinking
It's like
potentially?
a fine mon. After losing, I mean, I guess Teleport Arcanine was already kind of weird last gen, but like without Teleport, it's just kind of a pretty bland defensive mon and a pretty bland offensive mon. Like it's okay at both, but not really insanely good at either most of the time.
Yeah. I can feel that.
I agree with that. I think the amount of priority on this team is absolutely ridiculous.
That's true.
You've got Telefin, you've got Raging Bolt, you've got Weavile, you've got Rillaboom as well. So I think you can clean with this team super easily. I think obviously Choice Band Palafin is Choice Band Palafin. If your water resists are bad, you might just lose the game kind of right there. Terrabolt is amazing. The synergy of Terrabolt and Rillaboom is awesome. We've been seeing Weavile get picked up a lot lately, in my opinion. I've started to notice it a lot more. Um, and I think it's super good speed on this team. And then Terra Azolf, I've been hating on Azolf recently, and I think I'm justified for that because its damage calcs are not as solid as I thought they might be. But with Terra, who knows, it might become a lot better. I suppose we'll find out.
Okay. There is one huge issue that I see with this team, actually, that really makes me kind of iffy on it. There's no grounded poison, and drill is your removal.
This is what I
If
was.
drill doesn't get those T-spikes off the field, then you are in huge trouble. Like, because Palafin and Raging Bolt hate T-spikes. Like maybe if you get lead Terra Poison Raging Bolt and get that off early, but that comes with its other host of issues, like you're keeping the ground weakness and stuff like that. So you need to be very, very conscious of T-spikes in prep, which is quite unfortunate because the top two just absolutely hate them. But it's like, again, this is like a nitpick that you can smooth over in practice, but it's something to definitely not take lightly.
Yeah, I wonder.
I agree.
I was gonna ask the question of whether or not getting rid of Arcanine for a grounded poison would be good, given that it feels like Arcanine isn't really doing much other than maybe just being like a kind of fairy switch in, which the team does struggle with a little bit.
The team does kind of need, but like, and like it depends on the poison. Like if you get like, if you get like let's see, if you get like a fucking Arbok or whatever, then like sure they'll come every once in a while, but like it's like an okay mon, but like I'm sure like a lot of the mid-tier poisons are already off the board. If there's like an Okie Dokie on the board, I don't know. That mon's pretty good, but then there's no real fairy resist, which is unfortunate when you have a Raging Bolt, which often can run Terra Dragon. It's like there are like issues with a lot of the ways that this could go, but like I think the team, I mean, it's a Palafin Raging Bolt reval team. It's like it's going to be good. And like Azolf's a solid piece, Rillaboom's a solid piece, Drill Just Arcanine can function, and Illumise is honestly great. Cheap.
It's really
I think
cheap.
this is just a solid team. I could see it making playoffs pretty easily. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I did just have a quick little cheeky gander at the draft board, and Quillfish is available. Which
regular Quillfish?
Regular.
Yeah, that's not.
In fact,
the thing is that's not a real. It's not a fairy resist because like it gets moonblasted and takes 70% because it's a Quillfish. But it does like give this team a spiker, which it really needs, and it gives this team a slow pivot, which helps, and then gives this team a grounded poison, which is huge.
So there's considerations anyway.
Option.
Yeah. Okay, lovely stuff. Let's move on then to Bleedle.
Which this was the team that was built by Wagon, right?
It has a Tentacruel.
Yes. Yeah.
Automatic number 16.
You don't like Tentacruel? Crazy.
Oh god.
Outrageous hate.
I'm just a hater.
Yeah. This team, I think, when I initially looked at this team, I thought it kind of looked weird. Tentacruel is a little bit weird, to be fair. And I don't know, non-Terra Arch is fine. I guess you're not running Rain ever. But it kind of looks like a Rain team, right? For part of it.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying it should be a Rain team. Yeah. It's just a funny observation. I like to do a little observation.
I can see it.
Yeah, it's got really nice fast offense with Gren and D-Speed, and it's got pretty good hazards. I think Infernape is good at clicking Stealth Rock.
get him up.
Yeah, I don't know.
It like, I don't know. It's kind of weird because I feel like if Infernape was a good mon this gen, I'd like it a lot. But like Infernape often just feels a bit underwhelming, which I feel like can be said for a lot of this offense here.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the offense is like mons that can maybe two-hit KO you if they click right, but getting the clean one shot is not really in any of these mons' DNA. Um, there, but if you like start getting up the hazards with Dio speed, spin blocking with Miss Mag, and then putting on pressure with your other guys, I can see it functioning quite well.
Yeah, I think that you raise a good point that the numbers,
Mhm.
the numbers are a little bit offensively kind of whatever, especially physically. It's like Mudsdale is your best physical. Obviously, it's not really because Infernape's your best physical offense, but
The
it
other
feels
one
yeah.
other yeah, one other problem that I have is you have a Zapdos. Zapdos gets cooked by Terra Electric mods. What do you have on your team? You have these dinky
Big
low tiers
Mudsdale.
that are pretty inconsistent against Terra Electric guys. Like, and then like Dio Speed, there's a legit reason to run it into Dio Speed because it can't T-Wave you, and then can't hit you like super effectively at all. Greninja can't really hit you unless opts for Terra Blast of either Terra Stellar or Terra Ground. Archaludon kind of struggles into certain guys if they're Terra Electric. Again, hates not being able to T-Wave you. Tentacruel is Tentacruel. And then it's like Infernape does pretty good damage if it's hitting you neutrally, but like, again, Terra Electric guys, like a Terra Electric Enam is like a huge issue for this team.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it does kind of cook this team. This is true. This is very, very true. Okay, well, shall we move on then?
I think we shall.
I think we can. Yeah.
Take a look at Mr. Monkey. Let me just edit. So it says Terrapagos Stella?
It's
Or even Terrastal.
terrestrial, yeah.
Yeah. Whoops. I like this team. It's kind of a bulky offense look to it. It's got good hazards with Shocks. I think Shocks is a really good spiker, and Annihilate is a decent spin blocker. Obviously it's Terra, so you know, yeah. But I think it's got a lot of good offense here with nice support from Aloe, which is a really nice slow pivot.
Yeah,
Thunderous is good cleaner.
I think what makes this team work is fat wish passing into things like Terrapagos and Annihilate. I think that is why I ranked this team as highly as I did. Just because I feel like that facilitates these two offensive pieces, pretty well. Terrahedron's pretty cool as like as a special breaker. Um, and then where did I rank this team? This is Mr. Monkey, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I ranked this team the lowest out of everybody. I think the only reason I did this is because the Wug Trio is just throwing me for a huge loop.
Yeah, I mean, I
think-
guess the end is just cheap. It's
Mhm.
just cheap at the end. What were you gonna say, PZZ?
I think there's something weird about this team just vibe-wise. Like,
I agree.
I think I get why, I get how it's supposed to function, but like I'm feeling like Thundy and Shocks without Terra and Noivern are like
Mhm.
just these kind of underwhelming special guys. I mean, Thundy can run bulk up acrobatics, and it's actually pretty good this gen. I like that. It's fun to use, but like without Terra, it kind of is a little bit worse. Wug Trio is Wug Trio, and then Muck is a solid enough mon, but like it's kind of similar vein to a lot of these like just fat blobs like Heatran and Almamola that obviously Heatran can like fall on offensive pressure, but like it's like it works, and
Whoa.
this team does. Oh, now there's two Terrapagoses. This team does kind of need a kind of poison, so I get why Muck is here.
Alright, can we not? Thank you.
I think I feel like Terra Ape as a round 2 with Terrapagos. I feel like there's something better you could have gotten. Because Terra Ape has a high ceiling, but it's not as consistent. I don't know if this was before the Terra Enam went off the board or not.
I don't think it was, to be honest.
I need to
Yeah,
take a look at the draft order.
this was before.
No, it was.
Wait,
it was
after. This is after.
yeah,
Enam
yeah.
was picked 15. Okay. Pick 14.
So this might just be an odd observation on my point, but I feel like the point totals for this team was like 90 points or like 100 points. Like, I don't know, to me, I don't think it feels like we kind of utilized the full 115 points. But again, this
Yeah.
could just be me.
I get the idea with Momoa like really being an enabler of like all these of the rest of the structure. I just think that the rest of the structure has some parts that are pretty underwhelming, and I don't know. And also, I mean, Terra Ape is your singular spin blocker, you know, so it's like kind of sketchy whether or not you're going to be able to spin block hazards. Terrapagos is, I think the problem is that Terrapagos is a really good mon. Pick 9 in a 16-man draft kind of just really throws the rest of the draft for a loop if Terrapagos is your number 1, I feel like. And you got Alamamola, which really enables it a lot with the wish, huge wishes, which will get it back. And you know, you can also even healing wish if need be in an end game scenario. But like it's like I understand a lot of the idea with this. It's just like I'm not sure if it's going to quite work out in practice. It can. It's just we'll see.
I think that's fair.
Because I can see it being pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, it certainly has the potential to just biff massively. But I believe in Mr. Monkey. That's my old guy right there. But we'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes in.
Also, this guy snipes my Alamomola.
Oh, this team's terrible, man. Like, Alumimo is really bad. You should drop
number
it,
17, actually.
It's number 17.
Number 17. Drop Alamomola.
That is way better.
That's the only, even though it's the only thing holding this entire team together.
Okay, let's move on to a team which I think is really good, which is Emperor Airy. I know it has Bramblegast. Everybody hates Bramblegast, and rightfully so, because it's a bait mon.
Me when I click Earthquake and it takes 80%.
But that being said, there's another grass type and 2 ground immunity, 3 ground immunities potentially. And I think that Meow is really nice on this team. I think it's a very good enabler and cleaner. But I also think that Porygon shouldn't have Terra and Frostmoth shouldn't be here. And you could just put Terra on Lando T as well. And then it's like, god damn, what do you do?
I mean, you could go probably Terra Lando or Terra Crown if you wanted to. I think both would probably be valid. My take on this team is that the top 5, I think, is pretty strong together. Then the rest is kind of whatever. You have Weezing, which functions, and I think Hariyama is a fine fight for if you're short on points.
You're
You
cracking
really,
up a little bit there, big guy. Your microphone. I don't know if you want to unplug it and replug it back in.
uh,
Might
how
help.
about now?
But
Are we good?
yeah, that sounds beautiful. Continue.
All right. So I think the top 5 on this team is super strong together. So I think each week you're bringing top 5 plus either Weezing or Hariyama, or obviously probably on the spec matchup P2. But and I just think Meow and Plano T is a pretty good uh, pairing, kind of together. Hazards are pretty good. I know Meow can spike. I personally have never used it for spikes, although I do know it is a pretty solid spike setter. Uh, I think only having one rocker is a bit odd on this team.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the Has game maybe is a little bit weak. I think that's a fair point. It's kind of deceptively weak given what the doc will say. But I do think that Meow is very good at clicking spikes.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, it functions similarly to an Ogopon in that sense that it's happy to click spikes. Yeah, so
I think,
I get that.
yeah, I think this team has a really good top 4. That works really well together. It's pretty clear, like just pivots, enables the rest of the offense. Then there's a non-Terra Crown, which I'm like, I feel like it's a okay mon, but it's a bit inconsistent, can be a bit underwhelming if it's not Terra. With Terra, Crown is like insane.
Yeah.
But like without Terra, it's like a solid mon, but it definitely has some matchups where it can really struggle. And then there's like the bottom 5, which is just I'm a bit of a hater of Bramblegast and G Weezing, and then the bot, but it's just like
It feels pretty
you
random.
you have these like you have this like pivot offense core of your top 5. Then you get these like fat mons that don't really do much of your bottom 5. Well, Bramblegast, which doesn't do much, but you can't call it a fat mon with that stat spread. And then you've got a bottom 4 that just is kind of these like passive, well, fat guys that either are slow and have their whole host of issues of like P2, for example. You click Terra Electric against a P2, and then P2 is like, "Yes, I'm set up fodder now." Yippee.
Yeah.
G Weezing, if you click Terra Fire or Terra Poison or whatever, then it's just set up fodder. Like they're like these guys that like, if you click the Terra option into them and you're the guy that they're supposed to check, then they're just absolutely worse than useless. And um, then there's like Hirayama, who's like fine. It's just like I feel like this team needs something slightly more. I feel like moving the Terra from P2 to the Crown already makes this look a lot better, but I think you need like some other guy with like an actual speed stat that like can help the team in some other way. Maybe be like a secondary screen setter or whatever, more hazards, more something along those lines. Because as is, it's like, yeah, you have those boxes checked, but they're and like, don't get me wrong, the top 4 is very good, and Iron Crown is great with Terra and fine without. It's just like it's a little weird in the back half.
Yeah. Yeah. think that kind of seems to be a recurring theme, is that people have a real nice start.
16-man draft.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. That is
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Okay. Well, should we move on then? To the man himself.
Let's
PZZ.
Oh boy.
With his round 2 Terror Hydrapple that Ben thought was ludicrous in Freeze Shock yesterday.
Really?
I don't think he thought it was that bad, but it's, yeah.
Okay.
I understand why
Interesting.
you did it, because it's very good value on the board.
The best value mon on the board by far, I think. And I mean, if Terra Raging Bolt fell, then I was passing up on it, the apple, because it's a Terra Bolt. But
yeah,
like,
it's broken, but yeah.
I don't know. I want to hear y'all talk about this team.
Yeah, I think that this. So during the draft, I was talking about bulk. I was talking about bulk being back, and I think that Dragapult is as you mentioned then quite a good enabler of this. It's a great pivot. It can do a lot of things with screens and statusing. It's nice to support. I mean, you can run like T-Wave support if a team is weak into that, and then Keldeo kind of cooks because that one has a lot of fucking firepower. You got nice bulk. Pecharunt's annoying. Hydrapple's annoying. It seems just annoying, man. And I think maybe because of that you should feel a little bit bad about it. But it's just a really good. I think it's a good bulky offense team, and I think bulky offense is very good. That's my takeaway. Maybe having no spin is annoying here because it's a little bit weak to spikes, this team. And I don't love the speed tiers, which was the thing that was holding me back from putting it. I think originally I had it lower than this because the speed tiers scare me.
These speed
like
tiers
them.
are so funny, man.
Scarf Polytoad is a speed tier. What do you mean, man?
Yeah.
I think my favorite part of this team is Terra Keldeo. I mean, Terra Water has no switch-ins whatsoever, aside from obviously Mons with
The
Mons
water typing.
yeah. Well, some of those might get two-shot by Specs Hydro Pump, but
They're probably in rain, yeah. It cooks.
especially in rain, yeah.
and then Quillfish just gets one shot by Specs Hydro Pump, because it's Quillfish.
Yeah, I saw
You
that.
don't have to be so mean to Quillfish, man. I'm sorry for bringing him up, okay?
Well, I think this is brought up because it happened in DPL, right?
Oh,
Probably.
okay. I just
probably
don't
did
know the lore.
happen.
I think it was
I would not be
Addison, and
surprised.
she just nuked the fucking Quillfish. But anyways,
That was so sad.
the thing that just makes my brain kind of short circuit is I feel like Rhyperior, Fenbraviary, Overquill, Volbeat, Conkeldurr, and Politoed, for whatever reason, it just seems like a very weird order to me.
You don't like the Volbeat? You think Volbeat came too
I
early?
like it. I like it, but it just feels like a whole bunch of random mons, aside from maybe Overquill and Conkeldurr.
I mean, Overquill's I think, really good Pokemon. I think it kind of holds the team together.
I agree.
I think Overquill is really important because, like,
Mhm.
you
Got
have
your
the best
spiker.
spin blocker in the game,
Yeah.
the best spin blocker in the game, and then you're like, okay, what do I need? Well, I have a Meowscarada check now, which, is a thing in itself. And then I can just barf up a bunch of hazards and spin block with Petch, and my opponents fumble and fold in on themselves because it's like, well, what do they do now? And I think Braviary is a really good mon. I don't think I got to show you all the light last season, but we'll see how it goes this season. Um, let's see. I mean, top 5 I think is just insanely good.
I think it's really good, yeah.
Obviously, I wanted an Alamomola because it like really leans into like the fat and really enables like Hydrapopetrunt a lot, but I think going this more offensive angle will work out in the long term. Um, Rhyperior is just a solid one, probably like one of the best cheap ground types for its value on the board. Um, just really scary guy, can just do a lot of things. Volbeat, slow pivot, prankster encore, ground resist. It functions, and then Conkeldurr was like, I was like, I want a guy with like priority on
Mm-hmm.
top of like what Keldeo already has, and like, getting a second type fighting priority guy is like fine with me, just because Conkeldurr can also like, well, huge defog Conkeldurr, that's clearly what I'm
Mm-hmm.
bringing him for. But he can switch in on a lot of random guys and check them, which is as long as they're not like hitting him with like stab super effective moves.
Mm-hmm.
So like he can function as like as a more defensive piece that puts on a lot of pressure. Politoed was just like I wanted a funny mon that like
Mm-hmm.
if I really want to fuck around some week, I can bring Damp Rock Politoed and then Swords Dance Overquill, which is broken in rain,
Mm-hmm.
and I have Keldeo, which also is boosted from rain. So it's like sure.
Uh, yeah, I think in draft as a whole, I feel like Conkeldurr is slightly underutilized. I think it's usually pretty cheap, and I think it's a really strong mon, especially with having access uh, to priority. And I think every mon you have on your team makes sense. It's just seeing a few of these mons in combination just makes my brain kind of just short circuit a little bit. But I understand why everything is here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
could I have optimized the bottom bottom
Maybe.
three in particular a bit more?
Probably a bit.
Probably. But you know what? It's it works, and
It's
it's
all
like
G.
it'll work. I think
Yeah.
I believe in the team.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Lovely. Lovely stuff. Let's move on to number 2. And it's AJ. Frankly, one of my favorite guys to watch in the div. He had a lot
Hmm.
of matches of the week last season when I did them, which was obviously every single week.
Of course.
You raised the
And
point
below
that,
a team with Graham type Sand Slash, it's so over.
yeah, I mean, Sand Slash is not good. I think that bottom 3 are like pretty whatever, and it it pained me to put it here, but
Hmm.
I like a lot about the team. I think a lot of the div gets filtered by Terragarg because it's not, you can't just put a cloak on something and call it a day.
Yeah, no. Terragarg is not that one-dimensional, despite
Yeah,
what people say.
yeah,
It's got a lot of good traits going for it. It's definitely still exploitable, but like it's not that exploitable.
no, exactly. And I think that non-Terra Ogerpon works reasonably well here. It's a good spiker still. You obviously a little bit sad about losing out on being able to get the free scarf, but I don't think Terra Ogerpon's like Tealpon is that impactful. Maybe I'm
I mean,
smoking.
I agree. I don't think it needs Terra on this team specifically. Um, I think it's just kind of here to click, knock, U-turn, spike, kind of whatever.
Yeah,
Um, I, I think Terra Quack is Terra Quack. I mean, we all know what that mon kind of does at this point. I think I'm trying to recall where I ranked this team. I think I ranked it a bit higher. No, I think I ranked it a bit lower than where we ended up placing it. I think it's just a collection of solid mods.
Yeah, I mean, apart from the back three, which
hmm Yeah, that could probably be optimized. I think Avila Kasui has no place on this team, so maybe
I don't think that thing
optimizing the
has a
last
place on
three.
any team,
Yeah.
frankly. And
hmm
you raised a point, PZD, about Sand Slash being the only ground type, which is like,
hmm
it's not fun. I like a
Your
lot about
electric
the team.
resist is not good. Like, you
Yeah,
get Volt switched on for days,
you
and that means
do.
that you have to potentially commit your Terra to it, and even then, you're get still like. This is a draft where I would be happy to have Regieleki in this matchup,
hmm
which is saying a lot because it's a fucking
That is,
Regieleki,
yeah, it's
bro.
pretty fucking
Um,
dire.
uh, but like that's and then I think like I don't think that the removal on this team is very good. And
hmm
like I think the problem is that also Toxicroak is like a inconsistent bring as a ground of poison. So it's like when you combine pretty sketchy removal, like I get that Quack can rapid spin, but it's your big bad Terramon aside from Garg. It's eh, it's like it can function, but also can get spin blocked by certain bulky ghost types. So you have to be very careful about that. And it's like kind of just I don't I could see angles where you get spike stacked and then you have to cope about it because yeah. And yeah, you have Web Zombie. That's actually really nice, honestly, as just something to potentially force your opponent to defog. But like I think the team is overall fine.
hmm
Lots of overall solid mons in the like I think the top 8 is like good. The bottom 3 is kind of I really don't like it, and then it's like, but like, and it doesn't help to cover up a lot of the issues that I have with the top 8.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is about sums up my thoughts on it as well. I don't know if you want to add anything, Blue.
I mean, I like the webs here because I think it makes Chandelure somewhat kind of viable in that it's kind of mediocre speed tiers now kind of offset from those webs, so you actually have to prep for it a bit more. Um, but yeah, aside from that, I don't really have uh, too much to add, really.
Yeah,
I think one last thing to add is that having a pretty sketchy ground resist can be an issue if you're like running into like, say you run into like a Lando T, it clicks Earthquake, you go into your ground immunity Dragonite, and then you get U-turned and your scale is gone and you cry. So it's like kind of weird to have to put that much pressure on D-Knight. Obviously, you have ways of pressuring out a Lando T, for example, but like you do need to be careful with like because like Dragonite can get overrun on this team, and then that opens up yourself up to some scary end games if you're not careful.
yeah. Agreed. Agreed for sure. Indubitably.
Shall we move on to what we consider the best
Yeah.
team in the div?
Absolutely. And it brings me great pleasure to say that it is Big AIDS number 2, The Return, Apocalypse
Oh,
01. I think it's actually just Apocalypse.
we put
I don't think
you guys
it's.
put Hitmontop at number 1.
That's,
We did,
oh, God.
unfortunately.
Oh, God. We're frauds. I mean,
So dire.
the top
This
3, I
team's
think,
stupid, man.
is just really nice. I'd really like
And
the top
yeah,
3.
Spectre Guard Jump is just not fair, and then you get Terror Hands as a good Terror guy. It's like, yeah, I get it.
It's got
I mean, I
shiny
think.
allure to the top 3 that makes my brain happy, and Glamora
I think the
it's a
top
nice one.
5 is pretty shiced.
Yeah, yeah. Corner Pond's cool. I think Corner Pond maybe is slightly redundant here, given you've got Glamora, but
I mean,
it's
that's
not
a free
just
lead.
it's not just a lead, and Glamora's not just a lead. They're more than that.
But I think the spikes on this team are absolutely stupid. Same thing for rocks as well, but rocks don't really matter as much this gen. You have, you also have webs too, for if you don't care about. So you have webs on this team as well, which help out Comp throwing the skill shot sets. It kind of prevents anything that's scarfed to revenge a +1 speed chomp, which I think is really cool. Obviously, webs plus spec is a very good combination as well. And you also have a Klefki here to set up screens for that sword stance skill shot chomp. Maybe an iron hand, maybe a sword stance iron hands, or maybe a nasty plot spec.
There's a lot of stuff to like about this team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's very offensive oriented. It has that one mode and it does it pretty well. I think the main issue is if you do not win the game super quickly, and like if your like Iron Hands gets neutralized, and like you don't like insta win with one of your other guys, then like look at this team and Earthquake,
Yeah.
and it's like a huge issue. Like,
Oh my god, he
I'm
doesn't
going to
have a
use the
ground
Lando T. I'm
immunity?
going to use the Lando T
Hold on.
example, but like Lando T just clicks Adamant Scarf Earthquake, and like the entire top 6 just
Actually
crumples,
fucking
and
cooks.
Decidueye probably gets 2-shot because
Yeah.
it's a Decidueye. It doesn't have good fizz death.
Oh,
So it's
let's
like,
see.
Bro.
I mean, we're
Okay,
not like,
hold on.
I'm not going to like actually calc this in practice, but like
But
it's still
it's
pretty
a
sketchy.
scary prospect, and yeah.
And like this, the team does in a lot of ways rely on Klefki to help it a lot, which Klefki is a good mon, but it's exploitable at times. There's definitely routes to um, like all 3 of Terra Dark, Terra Ground, and Terra Electric can exploit Klefki to quite a big extent because it's just its main pressure for a lot of guys is Prankster T-Wave, which is a good click, but otherwise it's just clicking screens and hoping you don't have a way to like overwhelm it.
Yeah.
Removal is Hitmontop and Glamora, which is like
It's fine.
potentially exploitable. It's like fine. I don't
Hitmontop is
like
bad.
clicking Mortal Spin with Glim. It's kind of hard to position, and then on top is Hitmontop.
Yeah.
Like there are nitpicks with this team, but like obviously the top 3 is very insanely scary to prep for. There's a lot of ways that you can slightly spice up the offense with the top 6. Like it's not super one track with one note with the top 6, but there's definitely ways that like I don't think the bottom 4 is that good. And well, aside, Raccoon is good. Raccoon is good. I'm going to give it that. That's good. But like aside from that, I don't like the bottom 4 that much, and it just like means that like the top 6, while it's flexible, has flaws which the bottom 4 don't help with that much.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, fucking no ground immunity is crazy. Aiden, get a ground immunity.
He has the Magnet Rise Klefki. He's fine. He's fine.
yeah, sorry.
So true.
Sorry, I forgot about
Okay,
that. But
he'll get Levitate Rotom Fan. I'll say.
oh, if you get Rotom Fan, okay, now we're talking. Probably do
Big dip
need
big dip in will carry them.
Big Diffin Gary. I was about to say we probably need some kind of ghost check as well. A dark type would probably be nice. I know you have spec, but maybe you have spec and PZZ has Dragpult and you're like, I don't know, man. Shit, I ain't beating PZZ, so who cares about ghosts?
This team does kind of just get 6-0'd by Dragapult, but like, you know what?
But don't worry
if we
about it,
just accept
man.
it-
Don't worry.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just hacks me or something.
So true.
Okay. Right, well. We made decent progress there. That was a good time. I like that. I think mostly the teams look pretty decent. I think the follies of 16-man PAL decks are making themselves known, with back halves being kind of shaky here and there. But overall, not bad, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so proud of you, my Bolt Strikers. So, thank you, Blue. Thank you, PZZ. It's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure recording this. It was a fun time to just yap about why Bramblegas is complete dog shit.
Well, we can all agree on that. Thank you, everybody, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Farewell.